Hello, I'm Gordon Lang, editor of CameraLabs.com. I'd like to give you a brief video tour around the Sony Cybershot DSC H9. Here it is, the H9. It's Sony's latest super zoom digital camera. It's got 8.1 megapixel resolution and a whopping 15 times optical zoom range. That's equivalent from 31mm all the way up to 465mm, so you get decent wide angle all the way up to very serious telephoto coverage. Now we've got examples of that in practice in just a moment, but for now let's see how much this barrel extends in practice. Here's the H9 from above and you can see it's got a pretty decent grip here. If I press the on button you can see the barrel extend here. And now if I zoom in, this is the H9 zoomed all the way in to 465mm. So you see the barrel extends, but not by a massive degree. Now Sony is generous enough to include a lens hood with the H9, but it's no normal lens hood. Let's have a quick look at that in practice. First thing you do is screw this on the end. And you'd be forgiven for thinking, that is the lens hood. That is a pretty big thing that you attach on the side. But no, check this out. This is the lens hood, and this actually clips on the end of this. So, if I attach that there and turn it around, this is the H9 with its lens hood attached. And as you can see, it's quite a beast. Very, very large. I'm not sure how many people will actually be using this in practice, but at least the option's there if you want it. Now, like most Sony digital cameras, the H9 is packed with lots of features, so let's have a look at those right now. One of the unique features of the H9 is its ability to take pictures in complete and utter darkness. This is called night shot, and it's a feature that was on some earlier Sony cameras, and it's nice to see its return on the H9. Here's the night shot switch on the side of the H9. And we're going to show you how this works in practice. The H9 actually has a little infrared torch on the front of the camera, and switching night shot on will illuminate that. So let's see that in practice. Here we are in complete darkness, and unsurprisingly you can't see a thing. However, switch the night shot on and you can see there really is a person stood in front of the camera, and you can use the night shot lamp like a torch to look around the subject, although the eerie green light does give it a kind of spooky effect. One of the other great things about the H9 is its screen. First of all, it's very large. It's a 3-inch screen and it looks absolutely fantastic. It's very bright and detailed. It's also worth saying that the electronic viewfinder is pretty good too. But the really special thing about the H9 screen is that it can actually flip out, and this is very unusual for a screen of its size and resolution. So to demonstrate that, let's have a look at it from the side. Here's the screen folded back in its normal position, but you can actually tilt it all the way out here, which allows you to use the H9 at very low angles. This is great if you're shooting something that's very low to the ground, or if you want to use it in a kind of waist level style like an older medium format camera. You can flip the screen back again and actually pull it out in the other direction. Here it is on an arm, and this allows you to tilt the screen in the opposite direction, so now it's pointing down. This allows you to use the H9 for shooting over the heads of crowds, so you can hold it right above your head and get some really interesting pictures. Now let's see how the H9 handles in practice. We're outside with the Sony H9, so as usual the first thing to see is how quickly it powers up. Press the power button at the top, the lens extends, and you're ready to go. Now you'll see straight away that I've got the grid lines activated here. This is something you can switch on and off in the menu, and like grid lines on other cameras, they help you align your horizon and also apply the rule of thirds for composition. Now it's time to check the optical zoom range of this camera, and it goes from 31 to an equivalent of 465mm. So to demonstrate that in practice, let's zoom in on this little white mark on the middle of the screen. Here we are zooming in, now all the way to 15 times. That's quite a significant zoom range there. That really has allowed us to pull in the detail on this boat crossing the lake. But let's see what the image stabilization is like on this camera. To do that, press the menu button and turn on the steady shot. You'll see that it's off at the moment, and you can choose to have it on all the time or just when you press the shutter release button to save a bit of battery life. That's what we're going to do right now. So we'll select that, press the menu to exit, get the boat in the middle of the screen, and then press the shutter button halfway to focus. Now you'll see that's much steadier, and you get that floating effect that you do with other image stabilization systems. It's also interesting to do it again just to see how quickly the camera focuses when it's fully zoomed in. Now that is pretty quick. This is actually one of the quickest compact, well, non-DSLR cameras for focusing. So if you're into that sort of thing, this is quite important. One of the other things worth mentioning is that the H9 actually has two different optical zoom speeds. Now, as always, you can overlay various graphics on the screen. If I press the display button here, you can see that we can display the shooting mode up here and a little bit of extra shooting information. Press it once more, it temporarily brightens the screen if you're having difficulty viewing it. Press it again, you get the live histogram, which as always shows the range of tones in the image. Now the next thing to show you is how you adjust things like the ISO. You'll see here in the bottom left corner that it says it's in automatic. So if you want to adjust that, you have to press this middle button once, and you can now use this dial to actually move this yellow triangle above the thing you want to adjust. So I'm going to turn it to the left, and you'll see the yellow triangle is now above the ISO auto mark there. Press it again and it will let me adjust it again with this dial. So if I turn the dial, you can see I can adjust it manually from 80 ISO to 400, 800, 1600, or its maximum of 3200 ISO. And now back again to auto. If you want to adjust any of the other settings like the white balance or the quality, you'll need to press the menu button. And this is the quality. This allows us to choose the resolution, and you'll see that Sony's also included a 16:9 mode that actually shoots in the HD TV aspect ratio, and this camera also has an optional component output for direct connection to HD TVs. Then we can adjust the colour mode. Here are the white balance settings: daylight, cloudy, various indoor lighting and manual presets. The flash compensation, red eye reduction settings, contrast sharpness, the steady shot, and then you can go into some further menus here. The Sony H9 is without a doubt a very powerful super zoom camera. Its 15 times optical zoom range will cover you from in almost every eventuality, and it's only beaten by the 18 times optical zoom of the Olympus 550UZ. So in practice you've got a camera here that can cover you for almost every eventuality. One of the best things about the H9 though is the speed of handling. The focusing on this camera is really so much faster than a lot of compacts. It feels more like a DSLR in practice. Okay, if you're really serious about wildlife photography, you should be getting a DSLR. Same if you're into sports. But certainly the H9 is very, very quick, and we found that it could lock onto subjects and grab pictures of them much more easily than you can with other super zoom cameras. So in all these respects, the H9 is a very, very good camera, but it's not all good news. When you've got such a large optical zoom range like the H9 has, there's inevitably going to be some compromises. And where we really noticed it on the H9 was in terms of coloured fringing. This is where you get kind of small purpley, bluey outlines around things like the rooftops of houses or the edges of tree branches, especially towards the corner of the frame. Now a lot of cameras have this at wide angle, and especially with their aperture all the way open. That's normal, sadly. However, the H9 has it also when you close the aperture down, and pretty much throughout the whole range you can notice it if you're looking for it. Also, the noise levels are higher than we'd like. At 200 ISO and above, there's a lot of smearing due to noise reduction, but again that's par for the course for this sort of camera. If you want to see how the H9 compares against its rivals, we've compared this against the Panasonic Lumix FZ8 and also the Olympus SP550UZ. So if you want to see exactly how the H9 compares to these models and find out a lot more about this camera, then head over to www.cameralabs.com and check out our full review.